Good morning and welcome to the September 23rd Let's Talk. In previous weeks, we've really focused on what's coming next year at Westminster Village during the COVID crisis. Today, I wanted to talk about three items. The first two items are really why have we changed some of our protocols. So, number one, why did we go from 3 days of isolation from 5 days? The second one, why are we allowing visitors on campus now? And then the third item being, what do we need to do to maintain the safety of ourselves during this COVID crisis? So really the first one and two go together. Why are we opening up to campus visitors, and why are we decreasing the isolation to residents when they leave campus? And again, both those answers really go together. As Arizona numbers and Maricopa County numbers continue to decline, the risk at the outside world is less and less. Again, there's still significant risk out in the greater community, but it's a lot less than it was 3 months ago. Number two, we have a pretty good testing program in place now. We feel like we have the availability to test on demand if we need to. Three, we're 6 months into this crisis. Our staff and our residents are pretty well educated on what they should and shouldn't be doing to maintain safety during this, and are able to take into consideration when the risk to go out is the proper risk. Number three is really, as we've looked at this, it's about maintaining balance. The safest thing to do is keep the campus locked down forever, to have 14-day isolation periods if anybody leaves. But the reality is we can't do that, and we can't do that forever, but we shouldn't do that forever. There comes a point in time where we do have to open up a little bit and take a little bit of risk for that reward. And what is that reward? It's mental, physical health. We've had people in the past, because of the isolation periods, not going to doctors and dentist appointments, not going to their eye doctors. And it's time to be able to get back to do some of those things. Again, we should mitigate that risk by calling ahead, making sure the doctor's office we're going to has some safety protocols in place. We shouldn't be going out to restaurants or casinos at this point, or baseball games and that kind of stuff. Those are risks I would recommend we don't take. But visiting family at home, if they've not been taking risks that you wouldn't, it's worth the risk. That mental health piece is definitely worth the risk. Opening the campus to visitors. We know not all residents are able to leave the campus. So opening the campus to visitors is huge for those people and their mental health, and family feeling secure of knowing, hey, Westminster Village is still the right place for mom or dad. Being able to open the campus is critical. Again, we couldn't do that 6 weeks ago. We couldn't do that 8 weeks ago and feel that we're taking good risks and getting good rewards. Today we can. Again, our testing program, the numbers in Arizona continue to go in the right direction. I think our residents are maybe even in some ways more cautious than us in administration, which is great. And again, it's that balance of, is this the life I chose? And again, we know COVID affects everybody everywhere, not just at Westminster Village, but there has to be a part of that. Again, Westminster Village has to be a great place to live. It has to be a great place to work in order for everything we do to work. So that all goes into that thought process of how we go from 5 to 3 when it's time to open the campus. Again, there's risk with this. And that's where the third part comes in, which is that personal responsibility. Everybody has to make a decision of where they feel they're willing to take a risk that others might not. And again, as we open the campus a little bit more, there is more risk in the common areas. Things you can do to keep safe. And again, ultimately, whatever Westminster Village does, we can kind of block the big holes, but the ultimate stop of this virus getting to you comes down to personal responsibility. And that's things like wearing the mask. It's the social distancing. It's staying 6 feet away from even your friends. It's keeping a small social circle. It's washing your hands and using sanitizer. Again, it's looking at each situation and going, is this risk worth this reward? Do I want to go to dinner And again, if you go to dinner and you go to a restaurant outside of Westminster Village, I think you're taking a huge risk, especially if it's an indoor restaurant. If you go to dinner in Ocotillo with the social distancing we have with your spouse, there's a risk, but it's a pretty moderate risk. If you eat in your apartment by yourself with delivery, there's virtually no risk. Again, each of us have to make that decision every day, not just residents, but staff as well. Again, I have not eaten in a restaurant since February at this point. I'm just not ready to do that. It's not a risk I'm willing to take today. Every individual has to make that same risk analysis and decide what they're going to do. I haven't been to the dentist. I've put those off, but I can't put them off much longer. I need to go just as many of our restaurant residents do. So again, we each have to do that. It comes down to individual choice. There are people who are choosing to stay in their apartments and have just delivery. And again, that's not something we think has to happen campus-wide, but those individuals who choose not to take any risk, we're doing everything we can to provide the services so that they can make that choice. Those of you who choose to take a little bit more risk and eat in the restaurants, again, we ask, be careful. Again, if you go off campus and you think you're exposed to this virus, you're around somebody who's coughing or just doesn't look healthy, when you get back, have as little contact as possible, get a hold of home health, and do more than a 3-day isolation. Again, it's about individuals making the right decisions for themselves and the rest of the community. Ultimately, there's no easy answer in what direction we go as a campus, but every individual does get to make that final decision of what risk you're willing to take. Again, we can provide those services for those who choose to take almost no risk of having their mail and food delivered, their groceries delivered, that kind of stuff. We will continue to, if the numbers show it's safe to do so, we'll continue to open up the additional restaurants. We'll continue to increase the number of small group activities. But again, I can't say it enough is wear the mask even when you're with your small social circle. Keep that social distancing, washing your hands, doing those things that we know work. They've helped us so far remain safe on this campus. Talk to the people you're going to eat dinner with. Talk to the people you might be playing cards with. If they're taking a risk you're not willing to take, maybe don't play cards with them that week. That's a hard thing to ask people to do, but I think it's the right thing to do at this point. If somebody's inviting you to dinner, but they were out at the casino earlier this week, don't go to dinner with them. It's not a good risk. So, again, as Arizona numbers continue to decline, and hopefully they continue on that, we will continue to open up a little bit more. We will continue to take the precautions necessary to keep the campus as safe as we can, but we also know that balance, that mental health, that physical health, that well-being is critical, and we can't continue to be in a strict lockdown for 3 more months or 6 more months as this virus goes away, because we know this probably won't go completely away. Even with the introduction of a vaccine, there will still be, just as there's still flu on an annual basis, there'll still be risk out there. So again, each of us as individuals have that final determination of what we do and what we don't do. We as a campus will continue to work hard to keep Westminster Village safe and keep it a great place to work and a great place to live. Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you next week.